A very warm good afternoon to you. Matt Bentley-Walls here, doing a vlog, some more random on the much awaited Leica M11. Insane is the word that keeps bandied about. A disclaimer first, I'm not one of those people that Leica send their pre-production camera to, so I haven't got the camera here first. I was gonna sort of throw that up like that and pretend that it was the M11 and then tell you it wasn't. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get straight to it, really. Thoughts. I've watched quite a few of the vlogs out there, of the comments, of the reactions to this new M11 camera, with a lot of interest. And I also, there's another disclaimer, or another couple of disclaimers. I didn't actually realise the M11 was on its way until I got the email, and then I watched the video on it, the launch thing, and I was really quite excited, and a lot of anticipation. A brand new launch, brand new model of the Leica M11. I should also say I'm not affiliated to Leica in any way whatsoever. These are just thoughts. I did actually do a video a while back, not long after it came out. It's now early January 2022. And I thought, maybe that's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. Maybe sort of mull over the changes that they've made to this model and let it sink in a little bit, rather than sort of be tempted by the sort of getting a video out straight away, finger on the pulse and all that. Just let it sink in and mull it over a little bit. And I think I've done that now. I sort of scrapped the old video, didn't upload it to YouTube. So, thoughts. And when I say thoughts, these are my thoughts, but I very much welcome your thoughts. This is one take, okay? So I'm not going to edit loads of bits together and what have you. So it's quite an interesting one in a sense. Insane. So yeah, maybe come back to that a little bit. But I come from the M9, had an M9, and now I have the M10, which for me, I will say straight off the bat, is a brilliant camera. And I say that, coming from the original M8, which was only, wasn't full frame, so wasn't really interested in that. The M9, fantastic camera, had its flaws for sure. Which I noticed straight out the box. The sound wasn't a proper Leica sound, such as the M10, that lovely kind of absolute sound, a tick, quiet tick, just beautiful. And the buffer was, I've done a previous vlog on this, so I'm not going to wax lyrical on the M10, other than to say it is a brilliant camera. And I do remember thinking, I bought this on, without even trying it first, I bought this purely on the technical specs of the camera itself. Everything ticked the box. They just nailed it. And in my previous vlog, I did actually say it is arrived. This is just as the M3 to the Film M's is a legendary camera. This is the first digital legendary camera, and it is, and I hold to that to this day, years after having bought it. It is amazing. It is just, but coupled with that thought, I kind of had this notion that how are they going to improve on this? This does everything. I'm not. When I say everything, I'm not talking about it's better than the M9. It is better than the M9, but more than that, it does everything. It sort of, it ticks all the boxes. And so, you know, they've got their work cut out. Leica have got their work cut out. How are they going to improve? And then they brought out the R and the P, and it's basically an M10 with a swipe screen and, you know, a few bells and whistles, things that stuff that you don't really need. But, you know, are nice to have perhaps if you're into swipe screens. I mean, I literally do not even, you know, I plumbed in what I like, my settings, the day I got it, and I don't even have the image come up. Saved myself a ton of battery in the process. Swipe screens, don't even use the screen, so, you know. What else? You know, a quieter shutter, almost non-existent shutter. You know, that to me is a perfect sound. You can't better that. I don't want it quieter when I'm out in the street and there's traffic. I love to hear something, not much, but I like the reassurance that something's happened. There's a very slight kind of feeling to it as well. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. So getting back to the M11, so we see it evolving. There is a caveat, and I don't want to upset people, but the caveat for me was the M240. So M8, okay, you've announced yourself in the digital world. That's great. M9, fantastic files. Yeah, some shortcomings. The buffer wasn't great. The processor, not fantastic. But for that time, it was still a very, very advanced full-frame digital rangefinder camera, the best in the world. So that, you know, that's a kind of a, you know, that's a real step forward. That's a real advanced statement of intent. That, you know, amazing files. People still love those files. And then the M240, too big, too fat. I think the JPEGs were better than the M9, but the highlights were pants, I think, in the DNGs in the M240. It was like a camera that, like, thought, okay, we've made the M9, and now we're going to spend the next 2 years looking over our shoulder to see what the competition have done. Oh, let's put video on it. No, you know, it's playing catch up rather than being aware of what your DNA is, what you have, what is amazing about your camera, and then advancing that. It's kind of throwing on stuff that people might like, you know, rather than thinking sensibly and intelligently. So the M240, no, you know, it just wasn't for me, and it didn't tick any boxes. I kept the M9, and, you know, so having looked at the M11, not used it, absolutely not used it, but there's enough information out there already to know what this thing is about. And I'm having exactly the same feeling about the M11 as I had to the M240. Not that it's a bad camera, no, far from it. I'm not saying don't buy one, I'm not saying do buy one. I'm kind of saying, why buy an M11 when you can get an M10? The M10 is perfect. It just is. And if you get a second-hand one, you know, the new prices have come down in price a little bit. So, I mean, to me, the M11 is, you know, I won't say disappointment. That's, you know, I just thought, really? I thought, well, what's the point? I don't get this. You know, maybe I should talk a little bit about the M10 in the sense that everything that they advanced from the M9 or M8, M9, M240 on the M10 made total sense. They, everything they did, they put the new ISO thing on, which kind of counteracted or balanced out the top plate and made ISO external fantastic in my book. Whether you use it or not is another thing. I love it. I think it's brilliant, and it just makes that design absolutely perfect. But forget design. We're talking functionality here and sensible advances. The sound is brilliant, perfect from the M9. Absolutely tick that box. The screen. The M9 screen was fine. A lot of people said the resolution wasn't much cop, but for me, it was perfectly okay because I don't really use it anyway, I suppose. But they put on an amazing screen, fantastic screen. They tidied up all the menus, so it wasn't sub-menus and sub-menus. They just made it very, very logical. Everybody loved it. They increased the battery capacity. They thinned it down. They not just thinned it down, but they made it an M size again. So consistent with all the other M cameras. It didn't have that big M240 heft thing, which, just didn't make it. It made it not a Leica in my book. The ISA performance was phenomenal. 50,000 on this. Okay, I don't use it much under 12.5, but the low light capability is phenomenal. Absolutely amazing on this. Another massive box ticked. The processor, no jamming up, no clogging up. Just, you don't even notice it, which means it's a brilliant processor. It can handle whatever you give it. Superb. I mean, absolutely blistering. And these are all the main things that are crucial, that are important. The increased 24 megapixel. I think the M9 had, 18 I think it was on the M9. Still huge, but 24 now. Fantastic, but still very usable in terms of workflow, in terms of not clogging up your computer and all that kind of stuff. Amazing, beautiful, just, just brilliant. The much improved window. Absolutely much brighter, much larger, much cleaner and easier to see. Why do we buy these things? Why do we go for, why do people love rangefinder? Because, in essence, I would say because it's not an SLR. We cut off the top prism section of the SLR. We do away with that slapping mirror that slaps around and vibrates and creates, in slow shutters, it means it just creates more vibration and maybe makes the image not as sharp. It makes it a smaller outfit, so it's it's a take everywhere with you camera. It's smaller lenses. Everything about it makes sense in the sense that Canon and Nikon are going over to mirrorless cameras now because they just make so much sense. You don't have that SLR thing when you look through the lens and you've got your depth of field, when you're viewing. No, you've just got a beautiful bright window so you can see what you're photographing. You know what your depth of field is, hopefully from your aperture, and everything else falls in line. That's why we go for it. So the M11, 60 megapixels. I had, another disclaimer. I did think initially, I thought, whoa, insane. But then I thought about it a second later and I thought, no, this is insane. And then I kind of watched on and, there's this triple thing going on now, this triple resolution. So it's almost as though Leica are going, Yeah, it is insane. It's over the top. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. And therefore, we'll put on a medium and a small. Medium, I think, is 36 and small is 18. Back to the M9. So it's like, well, so that in a sense tells me that, what, why put 60 on? Unless our computers get a whole lot more powerful and external hard drives get a lot more stable and reliable, what's the point of 60? It just is, it's superfluous. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not, it's not advancing it like the M10. Yeah, I get that. That's brilliant. It's just going, you're just going, really? What? Yeah, okay, for what? Am I going to be shooting billboards next week? I can shoot out of this with 24 megapixels. I can print a huge print. My thing is normally 12/16 that goes into a 2024 frame, if that makes sense. Inches I'm talking here. I could print, if I wanted to go a lot bigger, I could. I could go, 2 meters wide on a landscape photograph. Easily. Am I ever going to print that large? Never in a million years. I actually pulled out a print from an image that I took with an M9, so 18 megapixels. I'm going to include it here because I actually put it into Lightroom and did a version of it from a DNG. And let me just show you, this is the image on screen, but I guess YouTube will compress everything and you're not going to get, it will with this even, but this is a print I made. Now I was thinking, okay, come on, 60 megapixels. There have got to be some advantages there, surely. And then I thought, okay, maybe banding. When you've got you've shot a landscape and you've got a lot of sky in there, and then you get that banding thing, that horrible banding thing that used to happen with lower resolution cameras. This is a 12/16 print with a lot of image onto that 12/16 thing. Not the tiniest amount of banding at all. This is a wet print made at Metro Imaging in London. No banding. That's 18 megapixels. 24 is easily sorting that out because it's even better. But 60, I just, it is insane. Not in a good way though, not in a sensible way. It is going to clog up. It is going to clog up my computer. I've got to buy a computer. I've got to buy, on these cameras. Another reason why we buy them is for the lenses. Insane lenses. The ability to resolve images brilliantly. Amazing glass. And so 60 megapixels is not required. If it was a cheap lens, then maybe. But you don't buy Leica, you buy Leica for the glass, not, for a red dot, or it doesn't even have one on. And I'm trying to understand what on earth they are thinking. But let's move on. Let's move on from that. For me, that doesn't make sense. And I think that's reiterated by virtue of the fact that Leica are putting on a medium and a small resolution, because they kind of realise, that's going to slow your workflow down hugely and, clog up your computers and everything else. And, I was thinking, well, maybe somebody does shoot, billboards with a Leica. No, they don't. They'll get a 60 megapixel medium format, Hasselblad or something like that. That's what you would do. It's an advertising shot. It's going to be a medium format. You know, I'm sorry, but it is. You're not going to do it with a Leica. Leica are great for all sorts of things, but not billboard advertising. Just no. So anyway, moving on. Moving on. The battery. Okay. You know, that's going to upset people. Some people removing the base plate. That's, you know, to me, it's not a big deal breaker. It's very nicely done. It's got that sort of, you know, you push it up and it doesn't fall out on you. So that's great. It's a really nice design, as you'd expect from Leica. It's beautifully done. But then, you know, when I take my base plate off, you know, I get to the camera, I get to the battery and the card. With this new one, the battery covers the card and you have to turn the camera off. And it's like, okay. You know, is that one step back, one step forward, one step back? Okay, look, it's an increased capacity. But here's the thing, you know, if I want to invest in an M11 and make that my go-to camera, guess what? I now have to use, you know, instead of being able to use my really good M10 batteries, which are very, very good, I now have two sets of batteries that I've got to contend with. Plus, the M11 batteries will be more expensive, and they're not compatible, so I've got to have two different chargers as well. And it's like, okay, you know, it's an improvement. They are supposed to be very good, but you're never going to go out with one battery, even though, by all accounts, you can shoot quite a bit on them without having to change a battery. I think the word is that you take a second battery with you on an M11, whereas I have three with this. I've never used the third one. But you always want one extra just in case, you know. Maybe you're shooting in really cold temperatures. Maybe you're just shooting insanely all day long. You know, you just cover yourself. But that's the thing. Now I've got to take another. It's more faff. One step forward, two steps back, maybe. It's like an advantage, but then you've got some real negatives to it as well. You know, the fact that they've done away with base plate, you know, that doesn't really bother me, and the fact that they've designed it nicely. If they kept the base plate on, I wouldn't have been remotely bothered either. That just kind of, it's quite nice, the base plate. People say, oh, it takes longer. Sorry, but does that take longer? Does that take longer than pushing a button in and out, and then, you know, I don't get it myself. But so again, not brilliant, you know, not amazing, not, oh, I was really waiting for that to come out. But hey, some people might think it was. I don't know. You know. Moving on, no, you can charge it now with a cable, a USB cable or an Apple cable or something, but it's on the underside, so you can't sit your camera down on the desk while it's charging even. And for me, look, my workflow is I take extra batteries with me. I don't have to have power banks, extra weight, extra cables. No, just a couple of extra batteries. Boom, sorted, done. Charge them when I get back. End of story. You know, if I want to, I don't know. You know, I've never once thought, oh, I wish they'd put, you know, a power socket on that. I just haven't. Look, maybe some people have. I don't know. Maybe there are some situations that I've never encountered that could be useful. But, you know, it's another hole to get dust in or water in, even though they say they've made them, you know, weatherproof or something. I don't know. It's not. It's looking over your shoulder at what the competition are doing. Does that make it the right thing to do on a Leica? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sold. I'm not sold. But hey, there's some more stuff. There's some more stuff. Let's not stop. Let's keep going. The yeah, um, I'm sure there is some more stuff. Oh, the button on the top plate. Really, really. Do you want to just ruin that beautiful line? It's almost reminiscent of the M240, you know, and they did away with that. They got rid of it afterwards. Customizable buttons. You already have two. Why do you need a third? Why are you know removing it from here and putting it up here? It makes sense here. It's there if you need it, but out of the way if you don't. Why screw up that top plate when you've already got two other options? I don't get it. What's, you know, is that a huge advancement? Is that sort of, oh, I've been waiting for them to put a button on that top plate, another assignable button? No, I haven't. I mean, look, I get it. It's going to be difficult to better this. But here's the thing, and I always have a bit of a contention with this. It's like Apple phones, and look, I use an Apple phone, I'm using one to record this. But they have this thing, oh, every 2 years, there's got to be this new model that comes out that, you know. And it's like, look, if you can produce real advancements and sensible, logical, intelligent advancements that were really much needed, I get it. I get it. If you can do that in 2 years, great. But why have this thing where you are, you know, it's a stipulation. It must be 2 years. I don't even think it's environmentally intelligent. You know, I just, it's like managing directors, CEOs. We've got to have, no, launch it when it's ready. Don't just throw a whole load of gimmicks on something for the sake of it, and kind of shoot yourself in the foot from something that's already brilliant. You don't need to bastardize it. You don't do it. It's counterproductive, and I don't think it's ecologically intelligent either. You know, just do it when I don't know. When your engineers and your people have gotten good, sensible advancements, don't gimmick-ize something. Don't, you know, like, I'm trying to think of a way of summing up this. It's almost like, you know, I get this sense that, you know, there's a trolley person pushing a trolley at like a sandwich trolley or something, and they're just going around the different departments. Fancy a bit of this? Do you want a bit of, yeah, bit of pickle on your sandwich? Yeah, oh, I'll have a bit of that. Yeah, I'll have a bit of that. Rather than actually thinking about what it is that you want from the ground up, what you want to do. There's no overall plan to this. The oh, I forgot the black and the chrome colour. Again, what are they doing? So up until now, in yesteryear, brass was always the creme de la creme, not the a la carte, because that's another thing that Leica have, or used to have. I won't confuse things, but, you know, the brass was always a bit more expensive than the other model. You know, like the 262 was an aluminium. It was a cheaper version. It was, you know, slightly more affordable, because it wasn't brass. It didn't have the brass plate on the top and the bottom. But now they've turned that on its head, and they've gone the black camera, which I think is the camera that most people get, I like both. I have the Chrome MP, the film camera MP. But here's the thing: black, which is probably what most people will buy, is made of aluminium now, so it's 20% lighter. Ooh, that's interesting. But it's the same price as the Chrome, which is actually brass. So again, you're thinking, I'm thinking, oh, can I have a refund on all the brass cameras that I got that weren't lighter? Now it's like, oh, it's lighter, so that's better, even though it's not made of brass. It doesn't add up. There's nothing consistent. It's nothing, it's the same price. And they can't lower it because, well, that's the black camera. That's the one that's going to sell, if it does sell. I don't know. It doesn't add up. It doesn't, make. So are you saying lighter is better now? Brass isn't more expensive. It isn't better. Come on. It's as though their research and development has gone out the window temporarily. And there seems to be a pattern, brilliant M8, get them on the map, but not full frame. So, okay, wait, now M9, brilliant, M240, M10, amazing. And now M11, we're back to the What, where's it going? I don't get it. It's just, yeah. If I was given an M11, totally free, brand new, absolutely, just, out the shop, a brand new Leica M11. I've got the M10. Would I sell the M10? No, I wouldn't. I would sell the M11 tomorrow and keep my M10. And I think that's probably the best way of, the M11 is, I think, the M10 on steroids. And I know people use that analogy sometimes to say, oh, it's, it's faster. It's no. It's just a little bit hideous. It's a little bit kind of over the top. You just don't need it. There's no advantage to it whatsoever. The M10 is the jewel in the crown. And until they better the M10 and make it logically more sensible to use a better camera than the M10, I don't, no, the M11 isn't doing it, I'm afraid. But these are just my thoughts. These are my, so I don't want it to be a kind of, that's what I think. No, it's just what I'm thinking at the moment. I want to get the M11. I really do. I want to get it. But I'm not getting it at the moment. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not saying it's a bad camera. It's a beautiful camera. But, why would you spend £7,500 on it? £7,500, that is. Probably, what's that? $9,000 or something? I don't know. Thereabouts. Why would you do that when they've lowered the prices of the M10, or you can get a second-hand one that's going to be brilliant, if you do your due diligence. I just think the M10 is a far better camera, far more sensible in terms of workflow, far more sensible in terms of, not clogging up your computers. 24 is massive and plenty big enough. 36, maybe go 36. Or if you're really, really, for some reason, really, needing, I've used this and I haven't once thought, if only I had 5 more megapixels on it. Not once. It's absolutely, I use a 27-inch screen. I can print far larger than I'll ever print. what's the point of 60 megapixels? Is it rendering me better colors? I don't think so. The colors out of this, the sensor in this, is so malleable, so amazing, so beautiful. I can't imagine anything better. You know, the M11 I think is great as well, but I'm not better than this. Absolutely not better than this. You know, I think it meters using the sensor now, so it's using more battery, which is probably why you need a more powerful battery. But this meters brilliantly as well. I mean, it really does. It's fantastic. I can't remember it ever missing. You know, it's partly metering for the highlights, yeah. But even so, even if you're slightly slapdash with that, it's still really, really good. You can still pull an awful lot back if you're absent-minded a little bit. There's the extra 64 gigabyte on the M11. Look, I guess that's a good thing. I mean, I've never walked out without 3 batteries and 2 cards. It just doesn't happen. Okay? I use that all the time, most of the time, the vast majority of the time, my film. You know, I've said it before, that's what I use most of the time. I've just developed a film from it. That's what I love. But the M10 as a digital camera is amazing. It is absolutely brilliant. But when you work with the digital, you know that it's slightly different. You don't just need a couple of films. Obviously, you need 3 batteries, I would always say, with this particular model. You don't absolutely need them. 2 is probably going to get you by. You know, I've never finished a second battery ever, but I'm just a little bit neurotic maybe, perhaps. But 2 cards, always. I've never finished one, but I always have 2 cards on me. That's just, you know, before I even go out, that's automatic. It's muscle memory. I never walked out. If you are walking out without your card or a battery, you know, I don't know. I don't know how that happens. As soon as I've stepped outside the door, I'm looking at the light. I'm already aware of the light, but where am I at? ISO is set, boom, and off I go. I'm ready and engaged, and you know, and that's it. That's just, you know, I don't even have to think about that. 64 gigabyte internal memory. Look, I guess that's an advantage, but is it sort of teaching you to be lazy, not think about things? It's like you could say 60 megapixels. Oh, you can crop. Don't crop. Train your eye and your mind to visualize. That's the whole point of photography. When it comes to an M, anyway. You know, that's what I saw. You might not like it, but that's what I saw. And that's, you know, that's what I'm showing you, or that's what, you know, the cloud photograph, or whatever it is. Keep it full frame, you know, as much as possible. I'm not saying always absolutely 1000% all the time. Look, there are times when if I've used a 35mm lens, it's slightly off center, because that's what you get with wider lenses. So which in effect is cropping it, because you're tilting, rotating the image a little bit. Yeah, I've done that. You know, I'm not saying never, ever, ever. You know, sometimes, yeah, but don't think of 60 megapixels. I can then, you know, not give a toss and just, you know, not bother framing and composing an image, because that's just bonkers thinking. It's not you're missing the point. And to that extent, yeah, look, I think I started this video by saying insane. Yeah, it's insane, but not in a positive, sensible way. It's just a little bit ludicrous, superfluous, not advancing it in the right way. It's a sort of looking over our shoulder. Look, you know, maybe Sony have got 40 or 45 or whatever they've got on theirs. You know, let's do that. It's like, no, why? Put the energy into doing something sensible and intelligent, and you know, the sweet spot I think is 24. Go to 36 if you really must, but you know, as I say, until our computers get, you know, 20 times more powerful or whatever, or we're starting to shoot billboards, you know, with Leica cameras, then 60 megapixels does not make any sense, and it's not a sensible advancement. It doesn't stack up in the way an M10 ticks all the boxes. It just does. And I'm not coming from this as a sort of Leica, oh, I don't like Leica. No, I shoot Leica. That made all, you know, that made total sense, to the extent that I didn't even try it before I bought it. I just thought, yeah, so long as it's reliable, which it has been incredibly reliable, does everything I need a digital camera to do, and it does it brilliantly. It does it simply, without fuss, without, you know, there's nothing on this digital camera that I wish they'd included, and there's nothing I wish they'd take off. You know, I'm on record. I'm go to my channel, and you know, I've done a Leica M10 vlog. I'm on record as saying that then, and I think it still holds true. A year or two later, or however long it's been since I did that one. You know, brilliant camera, and that's what I would buy if I was, you know. So I was thinking before this vlog, you know, if you're coming to Leica for the first time, M10. If you have already got Leica, you know, and you've got a 240 or an M9, hey, great cameras. But if you're really thinking about upping, I would go to the M10. I would completely not remotely be bothered by the M11. I don't think it's intelligent. I don't think it's sensible. These are just my thoughts, but as I say, I'm more. I like to be. I like to be educated. I like taking on board other people's thoughts and being, you know, I hadn't considered that. You know, keeping an open mind. But that's just what I'm getting at the moment. And I have thought about it for a bit, and I'm still not changing my mind from that those initial thoughts that I had. I've mulled it over. And look, in a very real sense, it doesn't matter. I'm not buying one, big deal, so what, you know. You want to buy one, that's great, you know. Yeah, you know, they're just thoughts being thrown out there. Let me know what you think. Leave some comments, and if you've got one and you disagree with me, let me know why, because I would really like to understand this camera better. As I say, I've not used one, so I'm not being hypocritical, but I'm, you know, maybe there's something in the use of it that makes it a little bit, I don't know, I can't see it myself, but hey, just I pulled this out, showed you what I do. Portfolio box, I'm obviously not going to show you all of them, but it's pretty much full. If you can see that, of prints that I've made pretty much with the Leica, and this is what it's about for me. This is what it's about, this kind of thing. (12/16) hand printed, some by myself, some are printed in London, hand printed in London. This is a sort of 2 or 3 versions of certain photographs. I think that's probably the best one. I don't know. Some slightly larger than others. All sort of signed, dated on the back. That's, you know, that's for me is the I just love seeing what comes from a mechanical device like this. It's a slightly smaller one, and just having that physical, actual photograph. Materialize. Absolutely love it. That's, you know, that's just for me the most exciting part in a way. Seeing what comes from a, you know, a full frame image, what you can get. It's just a snap, literally from a train. Big Ben in the background. I don't know. I just love this. I hope you're seeing these properly. You know, full frame. Just seeing what you can get. Just seeing what you can, you know, grab on the hoof. That kind of thing. As I say, I've got hundreds in there. Slightly out of order now. Never mind. I'll sort that out. But yeah, let me know what you think. Drop me some comments. Agree, disagree, like, not like, all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, hopefully, you know, I don't know. Hopefully that was interesting. It's not a definitive statement, and it's not probably not very, I don't know. I like to sort of, you know, you get all this, oh, I've got a Leica for a week and isn't it amazing, isn't it amazing? It's like, yeah, maybe it is, but if it isn't, and I don't think it is, then, you know, say it how you see, say it how you find. Rather than all this kind of, I don't know, this euphoria that goes along with every product launch, and it's like, no, just, you know, I don't know, what's the point if you're not really saying what you think? I mean, maybe people are saying what they think. Maybe I'm missing a trick here, and that's all well and good. Maybe, yeah, and that's entirely possible, but I don't see too many objective. It's all, oh, isn't this amazing? Isn't this amazing? 60 megapixel. Yeah, is it? Really? In real time, in actual usage, it might sound sexy on paper, but when you're actually using it, maybe not so much. Anyway, thanks very much for stopping by, and see you for the next one. Cheers for now.